So this is the block. For those of you who didn't see it, Devin Booker started with the ball, and he was at the top of the free throw line, and Giannis was guarding him. He lobs it up to Ayton. It appears to be a wide open alley-oop, and then Giannis hustles back, changes angles, leaps into the air. I mean, it only takes a couple steps for him to do that. And it's, in my opinion, pretty rare to see a blocked alley-oop from a big like Ayton.
Extremely rare. Yep.
And just, first thing I want to say before getting into any comparisons, anything like that, it just flat out beautiful defense. Like I was screaming in my seat when that play happened, and it was definitely the best play of the game. I think there was nothing else that topped that.
No.
And the hustle was great. The defense was great to see. It felt kind of like a throwback in some ways. I felt the same way when LeBron had his crucial block against Iguodala, or when LeBron blocked Thiago Splitter from the Spurs. I don't know if you remember that one. That was another one that was brought up in these comparisons.
Yeah.
But, I mean, great defensive plays in the finals. So I think first thing I want to say is just as a play, it was an incredible athletic and defensive feat. Now, having said that, a lot of people, like you mentioned, and like you and I talked about before jumping on here, there's, I think, a bit of recency bias with the importance of this block. First and foremost, it wasn't at the very end of the game. So it's not like it decided the outcome of the game. It was, I think, momentum changing for the Bucks. I think it played a factor in their win, but I don't think as big of a factor as other blocks that we've seen in the postseason.
No.
The other thing, to your point that you mentioned earlier, is it happened in Game 4. That makes it tough to compare it to like Olajuwon blocking John Starks in the 94 finals, when that was at the buzzer to save the Rockets from elimination. Even though that didn't close out the series, it was still a much more pivotal moment. The LeBron block was towards the end of the game in that Game 7 of that series, and set up Kyrie for his game-clinching three-pointer just a little bit after that play. So I don't know. There's two elements here. I think I can rank Giannis up among the top final blocks in terms of like degree of difficulty and execution. I think that's totally fair. In terms of importance, like you said, this may be forgotten within 5 years if the Bucks don't win this series. So in terms of importance, to me, it's ranked below a lot of the other blocks previously mentioned. What are your thoughts on this block?
Oh, we're on the same page. Like I said earlier, it's a great play, phenomenal play. And I think, as we said off air, if you'll see YouTube compilations of the best finals plays. This will be on the top 10 list for sure. But like you said, Matt, I mean, which plays me more is Game 7 when everything's on the line, and just by the fact of that, it just won't be number one. And I think with the Bucks lose, in terms of NBA history, it was be considered cool play, but the Bucks lost. So not too much thoughts. Awesome play by Giannis. I think it demonstrates, what kind of a physical specimen he is and how great he is as a defensive player. I think in terms of, when his Hall of Fame speech, I think it's safely to say he'll be in the Hall of Fame. I don't think that's a stretch.
Oh, yeah.
I think this will be on his highlight reel. But other than that, I don't see it being a massive, I don't know. I just, the way people were talking about saying this is the greatest block of all time and just people are losing their minds, I think we have to pump the brakes on that. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of finals examples from the top of my head, but like blocking the alley-oop, in my opinion, is what makes this the coolest as far as the ground, and as well as the ground that he covered.
Yeah, for sure.
In order to block it. Like that's what makes this cool. I mean, there are other blocks, like players getting swatted and the ball flies out of bounds. I think those are always cool. So I don't even know, like if you look at all blocks in history, like I don't know that this is like one of the coolest. It's up there, but I'd have to go back and watch more highlights because there are so many contentious plays at the rim from the 80s and 90s, and I think that's what people we're seeing on Twitter may not be taken into account. Is we get so few plays like this that are contested at the rim in modern day NBA. I mean, at least comparatively speaking. Yeah, there are guys that can protect the rim. I mean, Brook Lopez is one of them on the same Bucks team, but it's not the same as like Ewing going at Robinson or Mutombo going at anyone like in the 90s. It's just a different era because excellence at rim protection is a rare skill now. You've got Rudy Gobert, you've got Giannis can be a good shot blocker, I mean, for his position, but he's not a true center.
No.
So you just have less instances of it, which I think also makes the Giannis block kind of stand out and seem maybe a little bit bigger than it actually is.